Hi, my name's Brad Ditto, and I want to get into the fascinating world of AI or artificial intelligence and the impact on education and our daily lives and for our children. I'd like to cover what AI is and where it's going. So, what is AI or artificial intelligence? It refers to the simulation of human intelligence and machines. It's about creating algorithms that allow computers to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. Think of Siri or Alexa when you say those and they pop on and they respond to your verbal things. That has been coming and it's gotten better all the time and they're improving. Now we're getting into LLMs, which is large language models, which will interact like a human, but in text and other features. And in education, that's moving forward with written text, verbal text, and it's moving at a lightning pace for what it can do for us. In the world of AI right now, there are some big names out there. ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, just to name a few. So I'd like to break down some of them. ChatGPT, it's come out with the large language model that's most fluent. Um, it has plugins. It's moving forward. There is a paid and then there's a free. Now, right now, ChatGPT 3 is free and so is some of 4. Now, Bard is from Google. It is free. It is still in beta. They're still processing. It works with a lot of Google products like Gmail and Docs. Then there's Bing. Bing is by Microsoft and it's kind of like Bard, but it pulls a lot of the computer programming from ChatGPTs and the vectors they've used. Now, Bing and Bard both let you have multiple options. ChatGPT has the one, but you can go back and continue to correct it. Now, these aren't just buzzwords or names. They're known out there, and a lot of businesses and other things are bringing these in to their products. Now, in education, they're going to be a tool or something that we know that they will need to know about in the future. I mean, right now, the products that we're looking at, some of them will stay, some of them will move on, some of them will have bigger information, but they're worth a thing to at least understand these products and how they're used. Now, our students are probably even a little bit ahead of us because they've already looked into them and what they can do for them. Now, I'm going to go into that later. Some of the benefits of AI right now are the efficiency and automation, where it takes tasks that we usually don't have as educators or that we wouldn't strive to do because they were too complicated and we know how much time it would take to get into those tasks. Well, ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, and other ones like that are going to help us process that. Bard, it's going to be help us write a quicker email sometimes in Gmail specifically. Or Bing in Microsoft Office. It helps us proofread a paper even better than the proofread function that we have now because it can understand what you're trying to get across. It doesn't just read the grammar rules of punctuation. It actually will get into the meanings of the words and help you best get your thoughts down on paper. Other efficiencies that it can take slides. ChatGPT can take, with a certain plugin, it can take slides or it can make information off of a sheet, maybe of the Battle of 1812, and make slides for your lessons without you having to do it. You give them the facts, it'll make you the slideshow right in there. Isn't that cool? It can take papers of like lists of names and that and break them down into Excel sheets or that like grades. So it can process information that is loosely collected and then make it neat and organized for you. Personalization, it can take different passages and change the lexile level. It can build word lists. It can help different things where we can maybe even send progress reports from collectively different things into one. Now, accessibility, we use tools right now like Cami and other things to help us with students have accessibility in seeing text. It's taken text and made text to speech. Now, Newton for can personalize it is another one other than we have, but it's specifically made for hearing impaired students. So students that might not be able to hear what the teacher's saying, it can process it down in paper, take notes for it. Now, some of the big names and applications right now out there, especially Kane Academies, come out with Kanemingo. It is an AI-powered tool that actually walks the student through steps of the process, why they're doing it. Now, we don't want to throw out our textbook just yet because it's growing and it's getting better. It has made mistakes. I've seen processes where they've seen where students have been walking through a math problem and it said they made a mistake because it couldn't read the spacings between the thing. But it's a lot better than what we have now, and it's continuing to get better and better and better. Now, adaptive learning platforms. We've had Dreambox. We've all seen Dreambox. It's wonderful. And there's a million adaptive learning platforms. But they're starting to grow even in their adaptability beyond what we've had in the past, where it's not just off the right or wrong answers, but they're starting to actually have where it'll grade and change according to when they type in answers. So imagine when the student actually has a typed in response and it's able to process that and can judge it and grade it and try to get them where it is by understanding that. Even simple students that make spelling mistakes, it will try to process those and correct them. Now, gradient automation. Turn-in has been around for a while, but for what they're going through right now and other products where it will be able to read their papers and maybe even grade off a rubric and give corrections and even suggestions on how they can improve it, and then be able to grade the paper itself. Now, as an educator, you're still required to go through it because the student still needs you to work with them to understand what it's saying, specifically, especially in the elementary. But in the upper grades, you'll still need to go through these things. But AI is coming in. Some of the drawbacks of AI in education right now. Number one, data privacy, security for staff and students. As I say, you never want to cut and paste like a student list or a student name or a paper with that and put it in Chat GPT. That information is there with that company. We don't know what they're doing or how they're going to process this. Now, it's great for us to use in certain aspects, but we have to make sure we still limit what we do it. Because right now, for those things, I don't know if we have restrictions or regulations that are put on for what information is out there. Please don't let me that scare you off because we use other products right now where our information's out there for where they follow us on the internet. But I just want to make sure that we are protecting our staff and students at all times. Now, loss of human interactions and need. Because honestly, a computer is a computer and it can't interact with the student. It doesn't have the student's best interest always at heart. It has a process or an algorithm that's going through. It can't read the student having a bad day. It can't read that maybe the student isn't even trying. They're just typing in random responses. No. Our human touch or our empathy or our feelings or how we interact with this. Now, the high cost and limit and access to screen time. Because honestly, it's going to cost us money to get these AI products into our schools and education to get them going. And then, do we want students on computers that much interacting only solely with computers? Because when we lose that human connection and we lose the understanding of good communication through speech too, through it replying and interacting with our students and helping their growth, not just in the information or learning the processes, but learning how to convey that. Now, implementing AI is like assembling IKEA furniture. It might look simple, but there are challenges. Technical barriers, ethical considerations, and teacher training might seem like deciphering those confusing instruction manuals. Now, because I say technical barriers, we need computers that can process that. Because I said before, data security and stuff like that, we want to keep our information internal but still be able to process. Now, I've tried on laptops and stuff that have older processors and smaller information, and trying to keep information private because there's products like ChatGPT private, and it takes all the good things of the processing the information from those large language models and keeps it all internal. It doesn't put it out there or process it through an outside server like ChatGPT. Now, there are also ethical bias in grading systems for words because the computer was trained to process words like a dictionary. And for certain vernacular slangs or terms, it doesn't understand or even convey those meanings as much as what we would, which would cause certain areas, maybe in rural or other areas, to have problems or challenges. Now, teachers need to understand how students are going to be using it, how they can best use it. And it does take some time to get that information across to teachers, and it's going to take some time for them to learn how to best implement it and use it in their classes. Now, the pros for students, because I know I've talked about educators, but I want to talk about our kids and our students out here. So, AI, it's going to help by tutoring, because the higher my kids get in math, the more I might struggle to convey the meaning or understanding and help them. And honestly, the teacher always isn't there to help them. But we want to make some product that is always there. Now we have videos like YouTube and other things that help, but that causes them to go outside of their assignments right now, or even go into a hunt or search where they can be separated or even be distracted from that. But with the AI products now built into different products, like in a Google Doc, it can automatically proofread it, or it can automatically bring in Google Slides different information to them without them having to go out. Now, it'll be able to also support diverse needs. Physical, hearing, visual impaired students and staff do their job and get tasks done by giving them support in the areas they need in the text, language, or documents, or even verbal speech. Now, it'll also encourage critical thinking for STEM-like problems, because with AI giving them basically another person to talk to, it gives them somewhere to go in search of more information right there at their fingertips. I've used it for trying to learn how to code. I keep making mistakes, and when you're trying to code or learn how to code and you make an error, there's no one over your shoulder saying, oh, you left out a semicolon, or you missed a line, or you put too many spaces in that. But with AI, it can do that, and it can do it in other areas of writing, math, science, and those. It can give them that support they need. Now, I was talking about how AI can support. So, Socratic is a free product by Google, and it's using some of the barred coding that you can take a picture of it. It can walk you through the steps. It can also help you with science, math, social studies, or any other product, either by taking a picture of it or writing it in text or even speaking to it. So the accessibility of this product is wonderful. The price of the product, because it's free. It's an app that can be used on any Chromebook, any phone, or any other product, even on iProduct, iPhones, iPads, or any other device. So it will be able to give our students that one-to-one support when they need it. Now, the cons for students. Over-reliance on technologies, where humans will miss out on all things. Kids will not research things or read things. They'll just add ChatGPT to write them for it. There's been things in the news where people have gotten through master's degree programs or passed the bar by having ChatGPT do their work for them. Now, there there are good things to that, but bad things to that, because that's showing that we are going to lack complete understanding of jobs we are asked to do in the future. Now, it also has potential for bias against certain styles, groupings, and interpretations of information. So ChatGPT isn't always right. And the more you respond to answers by clicking like thumbs up, thumbs down, it can cause bias in its information. So if someone thinks that one maybe political view is right and then the other one is wrong, they're creating a bias. And the more that is, the more they can create bias. So the larger number of these things. Now they're working on these by creating different vectors and other things to check those and correct those bias, but we're not there yet. And I said before, just privacy, putting information out there and anything through the internet, through another computer to process, where it's building information and building whole databases of this information, it just has to be some regulation or some information before we continue or give more information to these databases. And in summary, AI, it's intelligent and artificial intelligence that is growing in leaps and bounds in the recent years and will continue to grow. And it's getting intricate into almost all businesses and things around us. So we have to understand in education because we're teaching for the future. So we have to make sure that we understand it and it can help us in education about how we are going to meet the future. We need to embrace responsibility of AI and understanding AI so we can best be equipped to make informative decisions for us and in our classrooms and in regulations of those classrooms.